Tonight on News at 9, postal strike. Postal employees were back at work after 3 days of strike.
First at 9, this is Other Derana 24/7.
Also making headlines tonight, Uma Oye project. JVP parliamentarian asks for a presidential commission on the Uma Oye project. Sri Lanka's north. Indian government stresses its readiness to develop the northern province. Dasiri and the media. Sports minister blames media, claiming media creates issues. And in international headlines, Trump's travel ban. Trump's travel ban on 6 countries and refugees goes into effect from today. Good evening everyone, Mahesh Johnny with Other Derana 24/7. Tonight we begin with the latest in this postal strike, with the Joint Postal Union Front calling off their continuous island-wide strike after 3 days. Last night, post offices across the island resumed duties today. The Joint Postal Union's Front noted that feasible solutions put forward by the authorities led to the decision to end the strike.
Following discussions with the Cabinet Subcommittee and representatives of the Joint Postal Unions, satisfactory solutions were agreed upon. The Joint Postal Trade Unions Front announced that the authorities had promised to implement the recommendations put forward regarding the 6/2006 circular pertaining to the recruitment of staff for the Sri Lankan Postal Service, which will be issued as a Gazette notification in the future. The union added that the government had promised to negotiate terms and conditions regarding the sale of the post offices in Golfort, Nuwara and Kandy so that a solution agreed upon by both parties will be put forward. Other requests, which included the shifting of the Colombo post office to its original building, will be discussed in the future as well. Co-convener of the Joint Postal Trade Unions Front, Chintaka Bandara, stated that employees recommenced duties today.
We temporarily called off the strike at 6 a.m. today. Accordingly, all postal employees reported to work today. Post offices across the country are functioning as usual. We have commenced distribution of packages which were accumulated in post offices. All steps have been taken to distribute the items today and tomorrow. Uva Province JVP parliamentarian Samantha Vidyaratna says they will suggest the appointment of a presidential commission on the Uma Oye multi-purpose development project. Addressing a public gathering last evening, he said only such a commission will reveal the responsible parties behind the damage caused by the Uma Oye project so far. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the current government is responsible for the damage done by the Uma Oye project. He says the issue began when the underground drilling stopped. We can't accept it. I heard President Maithripala Sirisena say that this project commenced due to political requirements and they also didn't listen to the experts' views. Now he is passing the ball to Mahinda Rajapaksa. Well, Mahinda Rajapaksa started this. But when he was defeated on the 8th of January 2015, only 16% of the project was completed. On the 20th of the same month, we met the new president at the Environmental Ministry and told him not to proceed with this. It seems he did not care for the matter. Today, 78% of the project is completed. It means Mahinda Rajapaksa did 16% and the balance of the 68% was done by the current president and the Prime Minister. If the government is not prepared to listen to us, we will organize another mega protest, eclipsing last Wednesday's one. Meanwhile, speaking at an event held in Batticaloa today, Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that the government has invited technical teams from Norway and Germany to inspect the construction at the Uma Oye project. When the construction of the Uma Oye project commenced, it was carried out with much enthusiasm. But when we carried out an environmental impact assessment report, we discovered there were several issues. It was also discovered that engineers had not followed certain instructions when the construction was going on. This has caused a lot of issues. 80% of the work has already been completed. Therefore, by attempting to cancel this project will not provide any relief. In other local stories, Governor of Northern Province Reginald Kure says that the Indian government had highlighted the importance of developing the Northern Province. He made these remarks following a discussion with the Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka, Taranjit Singh Sandhu, yesterday.
Discussion between the Governor of the Northern Province Reginald Kure and the Indian High Commissioner was conducted focusing on assistance to develop Sri Lanka. The talks were held at the Northern Provincial Council. We had in-depth discussions on areas such as getting India's assistance in Sri Lanka's development, sharing of their technical and scientific knowledge with us, and fishing activities of Indian fishermen in our seas. Indian High Commissioner requested the local and central governments to come up with a clear plan for development of the Northern Province. He also emphasized the importance of overcoming the mindset of an island nation and embracing ideologies of constantly developing world. Minister of Power and Renewable Energy Ranjit Siambalapitiya assures that electricity tariffs will not be increased despite the ministry facing difficulties with regard to electricity production. He made these remarks addressing an event held in Kegol yesterday. One of my colleagues challenged me to directly say that we are not going to increase electricity tariffs. I'm telling that directly now. He must have thought I would not be able to say it because we are facing many difficulties at the moment. What are these difficulties? This year recorded the lowest rainfall. It might sound contradictory since we had floods and landslides following the heavy rains. However, currently all our reservoirs indicate lower water levels because we didn't get monsoon rains properly. We are having to produce electricity through imported coal and oil. We have to spend 33 billion rupees during the month of May alone. Parliamentarian Vasudeva Nanayakkara says that protests and strikes organised by the Inter-University Students' Federation and the Government Medical Officers Association against SITEM are legal. He expressed these views addressing a media briefing convened by the joint opposition in Colombo today. The doctors are struggling to protect their profession and the freedom of education. In this struggle, the strike and protesters of students and doctors are legal. They emphasized their issues several times, knowing they will be harassed. The doctors of the GMOA held meetings and protests to reveal details about the issue. But the government is on the side of SITEM. What is the secret behind this?
Members of joint opposition also touched on the garbage issue prevailing in the country.
This is an issue which had a solution. A plan was made. 2,000 million rupees were allocated along with the land in Aukal in Puttalam was brought to solve this problem. When I asked Minister Champika Ranawaka in Parliament about the issue, he said this plan can't be executed since there isn't an environmental report. Then how can they say that they are going to dump garbage there? President says 2,000 million rupees will be allocated for this. This 2,000 million rupees was allocated since 2015. They give short-term solutions but never give lasting solutions for any issue. Welcome back, everyone. Former President Chantrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga accuses the previous government, led by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, for using extremist Buddhist monks for narrow political gains. She made the remarks at the conference Cooperative Peace-Building Efforts in Asia, held at the Bandaranaike Centre for International Studies today.
We have an opposition led by a former president that doesn't believe in peace building nor conflict resolution. They believe that their political program is to cause conflict and on the back of that gain narrow political advantage for themselves. And at the moment they are using various tools, including an extremist so-called Sinhala Buddhist group led by a Buddhist monk, which group was created under the last government, which is now mainly in the opposition, and they are creating a lot of problems in the country.
Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, appeals the government, the Colombo Municipal Council and responsible official to stop the haphazard dumping of garbage in Muthrajawala and to find a long-term solution to the problem.
Issuing a communique, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit said even human body parts that are discarded from hospitals and mortuaries have been dumped in Muthurajawala at a place where there is water. Meanwhile, police headquarters also revealed that 144 individuals are charged and summoned before court over illegal garbage dumping in the Western Province within the last 2 days. The police noted that the relevant charges were made during raids conducted with the assistance of army personnel on the 26th and 27th of June. Out of the 144 arrested, 27 arrests were made within the Colombo city limits, 37 in Nugegoda, 5 in Mount Lavinia, 29 arrests from Gampaha, 14 arrests from Kalaniya, 22 in Negombo, 1 arrest in Kaluthara and 9 arrests from Panadura. Police headquarters added that the arrested have been charged and that such raids will be carried periodically in the future.
Welcome back, everyone. Moving on to business news. The Sri Lankan rupee traded steady today. The spot rupee, which has been trading for the 9th straight session after being inactive for 6 weeks, was at 153 rupees and 55 cents to 65 per dollar and hardly changed from Thursday's close of 153 rupees 50 cents and 60 cents. Now, here's a look at how the Sri Lankan currency did against other currencies during the day today. On to sports now. Minister of Sports Dasiri Jayasekara says media has caused the fallout between him and sports personalities. The minister made these remarks yesterday at the opening ceremony of the Kaluthara District Sports Complex, adding that he highlighted the shortcomings in sports to develop the sector.
The newly constructed sports complex of the Kaluthara district was declared open yesterday by the Minister of Sports Dasiri Jayasekara. Deputy Minister Ajit P. Pereira also graced the occasion.
I came to this position to take Sri Lankan sports to a superior level. It will not happen within a year. I recently spoke about the physical fitness and exercise of players. Sometimes people take it personally. I cannot do anything about it, since it was a statement made on blanketing the entire sporting sector. The media present today to catch a phrase delivered by myself so they can be famous. The media will ask players for a reaction to my comments, and without knowing the context, the players will also react. That will go on Facebook. People target one particular individual via Facebook based on my statement, and the whole society starts to react. Also in sports, the Sri Lanka Volleyball Federation has selected the squad of 12 for the upcoming 19th Asian Senior Women's Volleyball Championship. The championship is scheduled to be held from the 9th to the 17th of August in Manila, Philippines. The squad includes 8 players from the team which won the silver medal at the 2016 South Asian Games and 2 players from the Sri Lanka under-23rd side. The side is captained by Dinesh Prasadani with vice-captain role played by Iresha Surangani. US President Donald Trump's controversial travel ban came into effect today, tightening restrictions on entry of people from 6 mainly Muslim countries as well as refugees into the United States. It follows the US Supreme Court's decision to partially lift injunctions that had halted the ban, where, according to the regulations, people without close family or business relationship in the US could be denied visa and barred entry.
The directive applies to people from Iran, Libya, Syria, Somalia, Sudan and Yemen, as well as all refugees. The US Supreme Court ruled that people seeking visas to travel to the US from the countries, as well as all refugees, would have to prove a genuine relationship to someone in the country. Those who cannot will be barred from the US for the next 90 days, with refugees barred for 120 days. Those with business or educational ties to the US are exempted from the rules. However, the guidelines specifically state that those relationships must be formal and documented. Those who already hold valid visas are also unaffected. The Supreme Court is expected to make a final decision on the ban in October.
The United States imposed sanctions on 2 Chinese citizens and a shipping company for helping North Korea's nuclear and missile programs and accused a Chinese bank of laundering money for Pyongyang. The U.S. Treasury alleged that the bank in question served as a gateway for North Korea to access the U.S. and international financial systems, facilitating transactions for companies involved in North Korea's nuclear and ballistic missile programs. China, however, has condemned the sanctions.
This action reaffirms the Treasury Department's commitment to ensure that North Korea is cut off from the U.S. financial system. We are in no way targeting China with these actions. We will be meeting with China and other countries at the G20 next week to further our efforts to cut off North Korea's illicit activities.
The U.S. Treasury Secretary added that they hope to work with the Chinese government to stop illicit financing involving North Korea. Meanwhile, the United States plans to sell Taiwan $1.42 billion worth in arms. The sale, which requires congressional approval, would be the first to Taiwan under President Donald Trump's administration and is predicted to anger China.
Iraqi security forces have recaptured the site of the destroyed Al-Nuri Mosque in Mosul after driving back militants from so-called Islamic State. Militants blew up the mosque and its landmark leaning minaret last week. Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi said retaking the site marked the imminent end of ISIS. The mosque is of great symbolic importance to both sides because it is IS leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi made his only public appearance there days after the jihadist group proclaimed the creation of the caliphate in 2014. Iraqi authorities expected the long battle from Mosul to end in coming days as the remaining ISIS fighters are pinned in a few neighborhoods of the old city. Well, Katharina Chang is at the Weather Centre with your weather forecast.
A very good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. Now, there's a possibility of thunder showers in the eastern and Nuwa provinces over the next few days. Meanwhile, heavy rain can be expected in the western, Sabragamo, central and northwestern provinces as well as in the Gaul and Matra districts. Temperatures may vary between 29 and 34 degrees Celsius. It's time to take a quick look at the city-by-city forecast.
Well, today is Friday and finally it's the end of a working week. Maybe you had a tough and a rough week. Maybe things didn't go the way you expected and maybe you would have come to the breaking point and giving up everything and lost all faith in humanity. So from tonight, every Friday, we thought of bringing you something positive, a good news, if you may, something to cheer up your spirits and to restore your faith in humanity. Now take a look at this video. This police officer in this video proves an exceptional example of how to calm a potentially explosive violent situation. A man entered a police station in Thailand and he has a knife, but the police officer sits down very calmly opposite him with relaxed, slumped shoulders and very non-confrontational body language. He quickly convinces the assailant to hand over the knife. When he does, the policeman throws the knife away and approaches the assailant's arms outstretched and embraces the man with a giant hug. He continues to hug him for a few moments as other people started to gather around. The assailant then sits quietly on the chair and appears to thank the officer. Well, later on, when reporters asked as to what happened, the police officer said that the man used to be a musician but had been working as a security guard for 3 days and had not been paid. On top of that, he had his guitar stolen and the situation had been stressing him out. The police officer had understood as to where he was coming from and later gave him his guitar and asked him to go out for a meal. Indeed, a positive story to start the weekend. Well, that is a part of your world tonight right here on Other Derana 24/7. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll return tomorrow at 9. Be sure to join us then. I'm Mahesh Johnny. Good night.
This is Other Derana, and you're watching Other Derana 24/7.